How are you doing?
I'm doing well. You
just
must smell it.
Yeah, just bear with me one moment. I just need to sort out my other camera. Just bear with me one sec.
No worries.
Sorry about that. If I lean to one side, it's just because I'm having a cup of tea at the moment. a very British thing at any time of the day, you know.
Yeah, totally. Where are you at right now?
So
in a Star Wars cup of tea, that.
Oh, I know. Yeah, it's such a cliche, isn't it, for a nerd for the Star Wars cup and all that. But yeah, I'm in Chester, which is near Liverpool, Manchester, that way, northwest of UK.
Very nice.
So welcome to the podcast. And can you just introduce yourselves a little bit and the name of your film?
Sure. So my name is Yonatan Weinstein.
I'm Lara Vosburgh.
And
I've seen two of you now. Sorry to cut you off, but I've seen two of you now in that film. So, and what was the name of your film?
The title is Quaran-Cheating.
Yeah,
bit of a pun there.
Yeah, it was from the people I've told, because we're very precious in terms of not showing the films early. I know some people have submitted to multiple festivals, which is fine, but as soon as I saw your title, because it was one of the first things we see in the emails, it was a lot of fun, especially the pun, you know. And I thought, right, oh great, and then you had your little bio about where you're from and what you do, and that was a really appealing thing, that something that was just based in the UK is now it's like everywhere, which is great for us. And we've only started this 7 or 8 weeks ago.
Good for you guys. No, it's a wonderful initiative, and we actually, originally when we thought of making this film, it was in response to a local prompt in Israel and Tel Aviv for shorts about the sort of the COVID times. And then once we made the short and we were happy with it, we realized we could actually subtitle it and see if there might be an audience for it abroad. And we came across your festival first thing, and we loved the idea, and we're glad we got to share it through you with.
I'm really thrilled that I got to do this, because I'm a natural goofball and I love doing characters and I love doing really short, punny stuff. And Yonatan is a serious filmmaker, and trying to get him to do stuff that is fun with me, it was a great opportunity to persuade him to do so.
So yeah, not you being in front of the camera, so that's a new thing.
It's difficult, isn't it? It's difficult because I get very precious when my partner, she's taking pictures of me. I'm like, no, over there, from there. I get too much of a control freak, and you might not be like that, but it's like, you know what you want, don't you? So it must have been. That's why I kind of loved your film quite a lot, because I could see there was a good relationship between the characters and you two. And I thought that was really strong. And the biggest compliment I can give you is I wanted to see more. It was it was a really nice short film. It's either could be a bigger film or bigger project, or it could be a series, a web series or something. So is that potentially something you would be interested in doing?
Yeah, I think Lara was actually the one because originally we thought of two separate ideas, and we ended up doing this one, but the other one that we actually thought of, funnily enough, has also sort of a scenario that involves cheating and during quarantine. Right. So we thought we could almost try and work out some sort of little anthology of like films that are not necessarily with the same characters, but thematically based around
that. The problem is that he's going to be always depicted as the cheater. So somehow he's going to have to hire me as his PR, trying to explain to everyone that he's actually a really good guy.
Yeah.
That's a really good point.
We're a couple in real life, and I don't cheat in our relationship. So this is
not that I know of. He's really good at concealing it.
Yeah. So how long have you been a filmmaker, Yonatan?
I started very early on. When I was 14, I sort of learned how to edit, and I originally was more into music before that. I learned how to edit. I found that very appealing, and then I decided to make a very personal film about my grandmother, who was a Holocaust survivor. She was already in her 90s at the time, and I thought a documentary was a great way to sort of, make sure that her story is kept for the future. And it became a really interesting project, sort of more not just a personal project, but a full-on hour-long feature doc. And I think that part of the appeal when I submitted it to festivals and realized it had an audience way beyond what I expected was that suddenly this wasn't just a Holocaust survivor story, but told through the perspective of the third generation. And I think that's something that really spoke to people. So that was my first sort of foray into filmmaking.
Wow, that's quite a peaceful, powerful piece of material, especially as a first big project. And must have been quite. Sorry, go on.
No, just to say that since then I've focused mostly on narratives, but I would actually love to go back to try and do a doc as an adult at some point. But
he helped me do my doc that's on its way.
Yeah.
Oh, what's that documentary about?
It's about Ruth Dayan, who is the wife of the Moshe Dayan, who used to be
basically was the Minister of Defense in Israel and a great general and part of the government.
Yeah, the dissonance between the two characters essentially is that he pursued war while she pursued peace. She created the first couture fashion house in Israel that employed Palestinian women, Yemenite women, Jewish women, and they all worked together, and she pursued peace initiatives in other ways. So we shot it quite a while ago, but I've been studying creative writing, and I'm writing a bunch of short films and a full narrative film in Hebrew, and some short stories, flash fiction.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
that's really incredible. Is that something that I don't want to pry into your business, but is that how you met on like working on a film, or was it something else?
Do you want to?
You can go.
We met in an acting class, actually. So by that, Lara was started. She can tell more about that, but she started acting professionally pretty early on, and she was already an accomplished actress by the time she went to that class. And I, on the other hand, had never dared attempt to act, but I did already know that I wanted to direct, and I wanted to be sort of better equipped to work with actors on performance. So I figured that was a good sort of way to test the waters and see what it feels to be on the other side. It wasn't actually, in many ways, it wasn't a successful workshop for me professionally, because I think it was was too intense for what I needed at that point of my life in terms of how sort of like head on it was, but I got to meet Lara out there, so it was definitely worth it.
For me, it was really intense as well. I was told by a professional acting coach that I would never act, and 3 months later, I got a lead role in a film, in an IFC horror film in LA after 2 weeks of being there. So I was like, what's up?
And now, horror's a really interesting avenue for a lot of actors, and I'm a huge horror fan. I don't know how you two feel about it, but I am a massive horror fan. If you listen to the music for the intro for the podcast, it's more John Carpenter than anything else. So a friend of mine wrote the music, and we've got some really talented people as part of our festival, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. But
that's exciting.
It must be really gratifying to get a part in a film like that, and then someone that's just said, yeah, you've got no chance.
It was fantastic because it was like a feminist horror film. It was a female heroin addict who uses heroin to suppress a demon, and then she goes on a killing binge once the heroin is out. It was fantastic to play it. I loved not being like, I was raised to be polite and nice as a girl, and just to let loose and just be a monstrous thing is so nice.
It was a very for sure.
Complete freedom. Yeah, I love that.
People should check it out. Anyone watching, by the way, the title of the film is Inner Demons.
It's on Amazon.
It's on Amazon Prime, and it's I think one of the things I liked that I'm actually not quite the horror fan. It's funny, sir. I don't consider myself a horror fan, but
Yeah.
a few of my favorite films of all time, I guess, are horror films like The Shining or Rosemary's Baby, or films like that. I obviously went to see the film knowing Lara was in it, and one of the things I liked about it is it's very much done as sort of a documentary style, sort of like a mockumentary almost, and it has a bit of levity and comedy to it earlier on, which really helps sort of establish the tone. So I thought that helped too, and she does great work in it.
That's really nice. A lot of horror just establishes the horror, and they kind of lose out on the characters are so important, and making you connect with the characters is very important in any film, really. And I've just noticed it's on Amazon Prime UK as well, so I'll watch that at the weekend.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I do this little thing on my Instagram account. It's just a fun thing I do for film reviews, and I do horror reviews at the weekend. So I think Inner Demons is going to be the one for the weekend.
Wow, that's exciting. That's good.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like that. And did you was it a good opportunity to network over there when you made that feature film?
Yes, it was first of all, it was wonderful while working, because I worked with a really talented director. His name is Seth, and I worked with a wonderful cast of actors, and the makeup artist did amazing things because he had to turn me into a monster, and I had to sit in a chair like for 6 hours until he turned me into a complete devil.
Was it all practical effects mostly?
No, it was also
there's a combination. Yeah,
a combination.
Okay, cool. Because that's a tricky thing with horror or any feature, as you can probably agree to, that as soon as everything's CG, you just lose any kind of connection you have with the characters and the substance. So a mix can absolutely work as well, which is great.
Actually, because it was the first lead role I had done in a film, I was really scared because I was told the editor can make it or break it. I could have given like a bad performance and he could have turned it into a good performance, and he could have taken my good performance and wrecked it.
Yeah,
and he did a fantastic job.
Absolutely. From the experience I have of filmmaking and documentary making, and that the edit is crucial, because some filmmakers with a clear vision can have everything in their head. They know exactly how it's going to work. And then the editing process is almost secondary, but some editors can really be masters as well. They can turn performances good or bad. So it's a very good point, and it's a big eye opener, especially when if you get to see your own outtakes or your own work and how why did they choose that one? I remember that one being better. So yeah, you're absolutely right. The editing process is such a massive and crucial part. Like I think was it last year's Oscars or the year before, they were going to not televise the editing and the cinematography category on TV, even though it's two of the biggest categories going.
I believe it was not the year before.
Yeah, and especially when you've got masters like Roger Deakins as a cinematographer, and you're gonna not give him his first Oscar because he's been nominated 14 times, and it's quite disgusting, isn't it? Because and those awards really, what do they mean? Because we all disagree. We all love to disagree with awards and all of that. So that's something we've looked at a small amount in terms of how do we. I think we're going to do like a poll in terms of favorites, like fan favorites, founder favorites, like myself and a couple of the other original founders of the festival are going to pick, and we'll have kind of best in show, that kind of thing. And in terms of title, I love your title so much.
Thank you.
Especially when I read it the first time, I was like, oh, right, this sounds really interesting. Oh, it's from Tel Aviv. This is really cool. Very international. Great. And then
it's funny actually, because originally we titled it in Hebrew. And I remember when we were about to upload it to your festival, we were like, oh shit, we don't have a title in English. And it kind of just, suddenly it was obvious how to translate it.
For a second, I just want to take it back because I want to give a compliment to Yonatan. He is the ideal combination of a director and an editor. having that combination is magnificent, and I feel so safe in his hands, and I can't wait to work with him on other things, because I know he has my best interests, but I know he has the best interest of every person he ever edits.
Yeah, absolutely. Because when you've got a director and he's not the lifeblood of the film, but close enough, he's like the captain of the ship. He'll go down with the ship. You know what I mean? And the fact that he's the editor as well, it makes such a difference. It really does, because he knows what he's getting. Because you must be, you're thinking several steps ahead. That'll work. Oh, that's a nice moment. That'll work. And then that's the reason you have notes about your edit decision list, and you go back. Oh yeah, look through all the takes. And some editors that I know of short films don't look through all takes, and they just it's like, what are you even doing? You're given all this material.
I honestly, having learned more about the other editors and more projects recently, because that's in the past couple of years, editing has been my main craft, and hearing about other people's work, I've started to realize that probably most editors don't look at everything. All takes, which is
that is mortifying for me as an actress. Yeah. It's absolutely mortifying.
Yeah,
some of that can be the decision list on set, where directors give notes to to some sort of assistant that says, "Oh, these are the best takes." But still, I'm still a believer everything should be gone through. Like, the finest example is Francis Ford Coppola and the opening of Apocalypse Now. That was in a bin. Getting dismissed. That was an off cut. Obviously, that was just a cutaway for the big action scene. But that you discover gold sometimes, or some sort of quirky moment or accidental camera move or something like that might work in some other way. So there's a lot to be said to go through everything. Yeah, absolutely. He's an absolute legend. Working 3 years on the sound of that film is insane.
Yeah.
So
we actually got to see it. So we're based mostly in between New York and Tel Aviv, mostly New York. And we went, I think it was last year, to the 40th anniversary screening of Apocalypse Now. And
I'm very jealous.
Coppola was there, and Walter Murch was in the audience, and Robert Duvall was there. And it was very, very exciting.
Yeah, it was a special moment. Originally, it was supposed to be in a purpose-built cinema when they came up with that film. One cinema for that film, and all they were going to show is that film. Obviously, that's too expensive to do something crazy like that. But yeah, I really want to see. I want to see more of these characters, or at least something that like an anthology kind of thing. That'd be, I think, a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, now you hopefully you gave us the extra motivation.
Yes, you have.
When people see it, when people see it, they will absolutely agree with me. I'm not because I'm a big fan of the fact that everyone's submitting a film to our festival, and we started 7 weeks ago. It's kind of humbling that your work's, the social media is working, all of that. But when you see something that's been lovingly crafted and a lot of fun, a lot of heart, and not too, it's not too serious, and you need kind of light moments as well, because obviously we've got diary entries from people in difficult positions, that kind of thing. So we didn't look for a certain genre. We looked for a broad spectrum of content. And it was just so pleasant to see your film. I was watching it at what time was I watching? 2 a.m, something like that. I was just about to go to sleep. And I was laughing. And then Vicky was saying to me, "What are you laughing?" I said, "Well, you've got to watch this. Just watch this." Now she was half asleep. And that's how most of the content's come through, because I do pretty much all the admin. And we've got a new member of the team, Nadia, coming in. And she's going to help do the admin and curation and the content and that. So I've just passed it to Vicky, and she's my sounding board saying, "What do you think of this? What do you think of this?" And that's how most of the films have come in, and it's really lovely to see. We've got films from Australia, Israel, Europe, US, Canada, South America. It's quite because we wanted to build a community and connect everyone, and we're going to work out a way of doing that as well, because we've got people from people of 9-10 years old creating animations, and seasoned filmmakers that are making horror. Like, we've got a chap from Toronto. His horror is really dark, really, really dark. But it just the variety is what we're happiest with. And initially we thought we were only going to get 10 to 15 films because we're extremely small. There's only 2 of us. And now we've got over 65, almost 70 now. So we're super proud. And when yours came in, I was really, really chuffed to see it.
Thank you. No, that's exciting.
It's very interesting. We have a friend who submitted in Israel a short film that seems like a bit alternative film vibe. It's a bit dramatic. And I was like, wow, it's unbelievable the choices you have even within 2 minutes to create. I think, and that's why I'm very in love right now in writing with flash fiction. I don't know, how do you call cinema that is 2 minutes? That's also like flash
short shorts.
Flash short shorts.
Short shorts. Yeah. There's a different reference for that as well, isn't there? So and I know you initially going to call label your film in Hebrew, but if that's something you can do anyway, because if the translation's not quite right, if I try to translate your title, if you can send it in Hebrew, then when we put because we're designing film posters for every single film, we've got 2 artists doing that, and we'd love to have your picture, your poster in Hebrew. That'd be incredible for us to do.
With the title, you mean?
Yeah, that'll be absolutely. You know, like when you see a Japanese film poster, it just looks incredible, doesn't it? So it's the same thing in Hebrew. It'll be super. It'll just look fantastic for us. So what we're doing is we're figuring out a way to send out all of the posters worldwide as well. So every filmmaker gets a poster of their own film, a one-off print as well. So it's kind of a nice little gesture to everyone, and it's different to all the other festivals because a lot of the other festivals you have to pay to enter and all of that. So we thought, what can we do? And I think that'll be a really nice thing. And I don't know if you've seen any of the updates on Instagram at all, but we've showcased 2 or 3 of the posters, and they've gone down very, very well now. So we'll do the same for your film as well.
So when will we be able to see the films, other people's films?
So it closes on the 31st. Now these little details are being worked out after that. So it's closing on the 31st, and then the week after that, there's going to be a series of announcements about all the content going forward. So there's going to be a weekend. I think we're going to work out thanks to you guys and people in Australia as well. We're going to work out a 3 time zone showcase live on YouTube. So we'll have different spaces where you can see all the films, and we'll have little intros for all of them as well. With the holding page for every film is going to be the poster. So once that's finished, we're going to kind of compile that. We're going to have like a live chat function as well, a Zoom meeting with some of the filmmakers. So all of that's going to be announced the week after the 31st.
That's very exciting. We're looking forward to it.
I like your shirt, by the way.
Oh, it's basically because my weight yo-yos, it kind of hides a lot of sins. You know what I mean? I'm going through my late Marlon Brando phase at the moment.
And it's like a jungle, so you don't have to go all the way to South America or Asia. You have the jungle on you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've got this huge softbox here, 2 lights. I'm cooking right now. My face is going red. So yeah, it's I'm really very happy that you've come on board with the film festival, and it's something.
Thank you for having us, and I think it's a great initiative to do this podcast too. I mean, that's definitely going the extra mile with everything.
It's amazing how you guys organized all of this so fast. Really, it's amazing.
It's because I'm drinking so much coffee and tea, and plus because I work as a photographer and video maker for a university in Chester, and I thought I found it extremely. This is how I found isolation. I found it extremely difficult the first week when everything closed. And Chris and I at the work together in video production, we thought, why don't we do something where we create content for each other and we have a bit of fun? And then later that same day, we came up with the idea, why don't we open up to people online? And then that sparked the idea for the festival. I thought, right, we need to open this up. We bought the domains, we got everything. And then it's kind of blossomed since then, and it's like been non-stop. So there's at least one update every day, or there's at least admin every day. You know, there's so many emails coming in about laurels and design stuff and all of that. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun. It's kind of it's a good way to distract yourself from what's going on outside. You know what I mean?
For sure. I think it's the best possible time to do something like that. For, as you said, probably both for you guys, because it's just a good time to keep yourself busy and focused, and it really helps once you devote yourself to any sort of project, and definitely for the audience. I mean, people
Yeah.
are stuck at home and looking for content and looking for
Absolutely,
things
yeah.
to take their minds off of life. So it's great.
So the
It's really
initial idea for the podcast that I had was about a week after we started the festival, and I wanted a way to. I thought this is a good opportunity for any filmmaker that would like to be part of a process, and we wanted to make them feel as though they're part of a new community online. And we didn't just want to accept the film, thanks for that, and then put it up online. There's something disconnect there. We wanted to make it personal and, you know, a bit more engaging. So every time there's a comment online about something, we engage with every single comment. That might not happen if we change it next year. You know, we'll have a little tweet and it blows up even more.
Yeah.
But we're trying our best and we're bringing people on board. So there's something I wanted to show you. This is I don't know if you've seen the podcast artwork, but we're changing it. And we had an Australian designer who's stuck in the UK, can't go home.
Wow.
So she's a friend of another designer that designed all the posters, but she's designed the new artwork for the podcast. So this will be the first time anyone else has seen it. So I'll show you this.
Exciting.
So I was really happy with it. It's got a picture of me in the background, which is a little bit odd, but I was quite happy with it.
Are you wearing that shirt in the picture?
No, thankfully not. In some other alternative horror thing that I'm doing, there is me with the shirt on, which is odd. But let me find it now. I'm going to show you a couple of the films as well, which is cool.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
So let's go to that. This is the bit of the podcast that no one will see because I'll cut it out. Okay, so let's go to that. Let's go to Tamsin's email. So they've kind of donated their time and design work for, you know, because we approached them, we said, we love your work. We're going to, every poster that's sent out, depending on how we do that, is going to have a letter with contact details, all the designers, that kind of thing. So we've said to them, your work's going to be seen worldwide by a multitude of filmmakers and that kind of thing. And it's really nice to be able to kind of, you know, share credit where you can, because we're doing this from a kind of a non-profit point of view, you know.
Definitely, yeah.
So let's find that's loaded. Okay, let's make that a bit smaller because it's absolutely massive. Oh, this is the fun with PDFs. I don't know if you have graphics. There we go. That's better. So how are you guys getting on with isolation in general?
We're pretty lucky because being in Tel Aviv now, things are a lot better. I mean, practically everything over the past couple weeks, everything has gradually opened up. With even restaurants and cafes are supposed to open up in just 3 or 4 days. So
which is really irresponsible.
maybe not. We'll find out later, I guess.
What's the way they're doing that with the restaurants? Are they having booths outside or anything like that?
I think they're just, they have sort of, I'm not entirely up to speed with everything, but I know that they do have a 1.5 meter minimum distance between each table. And the waiters have some sort of regimen about, cleaning each table before and after serving anyone. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to find out. I mean, as of now in Israel, there aren't, I think a few days ago was one of the first days where there were thankfully no deaths due to Corona, and the sort of the number of people sick now is only, at least tested and positive, is just a few thousands out of 8 or so million population. So it's pretty,
that's a good one, yeah.
Pretty good, but we'll see. Remains to be seen.
It's so mentally exhausting, isn't it, to be part of all of this, because everyone's part of it, and not being able to go outside the right way. Because I've been isolated now for 8 weeks, and I want a haircut. I really want a haircut.
No, same. That's one of the main troubles with this time. But yeah, I mean, we sort of left for Israel when we realized things in New York are going to be worse.
Oh, is that what you chose to do? That's really interesting.
Yeah. And I mean, it's difficult because a part of us would have, I think we always like coming back here because our families are here and we have a connection to the place too. But in many ways, our home in life currently is back in New York, and at this point, I think we're starting to feel like, okay, we've had enough time here. We want to go back now, but we sort of can't in a way because it's not, there's not much to go back to.
But I'm happy we're here, because then if we were in New York, we wouldn't have made the film Quaran-Cheating.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think both of us have gone into the mode of creating. I've just been writing a lot, stories, and Yonatan.
That's really good, yeah.
And Yonatan is writing a TV series with a partner, and it's going really well.
Yeah, we're working on a pitch deck for sort of a limited series that we're hoping to pitch to TV producers here in Israel. So
superb. I think content now in terms of your part of the world in Tel Aviv is really growing, and people's not acceptance, but people that kind of opening up to wider content now, thanks to Netflix and Amazon and other services. Because my Vicky, she just watched a series called Stiesel.
Yeah.
And she absolutely. Sorry.
It's become a huge hit. I mean, it was in Israel, but even internationally, it's become a sort of a phenomenon on Netflix, and it's very interesting.
Well, hopefully it'll build up more understanding and acceptance. You know what I mean? Generally, it shouldn't have to be like that, but I think that Vicky absolutely loved it, and it's great to see a show like that become so popular worldwide. So
it's interesting actually, because it's something like Shtisel for us. So, for people abroad, it's interesting because it obviously sort of opens up this view of another way of life and another public. But the interesting fact is, I think for us as secular Israelis who are not necessarily practicing and don't live that kind of lifestyle, it's sort of new for us too. I mean, there's a large population of Orthodox or religious Jews in Israel, but it's to some extent segregated on their own choice. I mean, they choose to live sort of their own, a bit of an isolated lifestyle. And for us, sometimes a lot of us are not as familiar to what that's like. And I think that it's interesting that a show like that doesn't necessarily just open up that world to an international audience. It even opens up sort of a world here too.
We should recommend the TV series with Shira Haas.
Oh yeah, there's you might have heard of Unorthodox too.
That's massive. Yeah, I haven't watched that, but I'm gonna write that down.
Also, really interesting.
I'm getting all these really great recommendations from worldwide now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I finally found the artwork. I've sorted myself out. So let's share the screen. So this is for the audio podcast, and we're going to grow the podcast as well. So we've not just called it the Isolation Film Festival. We've called it a podcast. We've called it an Isolation Film Festival podcast, and it's going to be changed to the Filmmakers. So the podcast for the next few months, at least, is going to be focused purely on the filmmakers, and then we're going to expand it and mature it. And obviously, next year, we don't want to dismiss the history of the film festival. We kind of want to mature it and grow it from its green shoots now, So let me find that. Share that. So this is the new artwork for the podcast.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
So this is a talented artist called Mia from Australia. I'll put her credit in the podcast info.
Beautiful.
And I'm going to show you one or two films as well. So
is the character based on anyone specific or
so
not?
That's me, but it's like it's from a statue. It's like as though I'm a statue.
Yeah, no, because it looks it's almost like a sort of like modern hipster take on a Greek statue.
That's sorts. Exactly it. And there's like a DJI Ronin in the background with the camera on as well.
Yeah.
So
that's
it's
right.
I couldn't believe the generosity of some of the artists we've had involved is been incredible, and we're going to credit them as much as we can. And if we continue to do this and it grows, we're going to hopefully commission them properly next year as well. So
Yeah.
No,
I just want to say I produced a play a couple of years ago, and producing is really hard. And it was I had no budget, and everybody was volunteering, and trying to give everybody a feeling that their work is appreciated and that you're gratifying it. And the fact that these artists did this for you, it's really major, and it means you're doing a really good job as a producer.
Oh, thank you very much. That makes me feel great.
Yeah. No,
but yeah, it's.
I remember Lara producing the play, and I felt like at least as much of the effort she's put into the play itself was put into sort of just trying to thank the people who contributed their time and effort. So it's definitely that's an undertaking in and of itself. But,
I think that's a talent of young filmmakers that, from my experience, if you've got a good idea and you've got someone driving it forward, you can pull people along. You're not exploiting them, but they can all build something really quite special if they're on the right track and they see the message. So that must obviously happen when you produced the play and directed the play, because without that, I think people drop off, they get flaky, they leave, they don't want to be part of it. But if you've got a really strong idea and your enthusiasm's there and your direction's there, people want to draw to you, and I see that as a really nice compliment that these artists have done this work. And let me show you. They've got like 65 posters to finish. So I'm going to show you a couple of films now. So this is a little sneak peek I do with everyone on each podcast. So I don't want to choose the same ones, but there's some absolute gems so we've got films that are budget-wise, 0 to something that looks fantastic. So yeah. I'm going to show you.
Ours was 100% 0.
Well, that's it, isn't it? That's the dark closet. Okay. So this was this film I interviewed. They're based in Toronto, and the editor and writer is in South Africa. So we had a podcast a few days ago with the two of them. I was at 6 o'clock, he was at 7 or 8, and they were at 5 hours behind me. So it was really interesting.
Yeah.
Now this is a filmmaker called Tegan Rain Sellers. And she came up with this idea. She had a dream. She's only 10 years old, and she came up with the idea, and she developed it with a writer. She's a young actress, and we'll show you this.
Incredible.
Okay. Make sure the audio is shared as well. Okay, can you see this?
Not yet.
I just need to click share. There we go.
Okay, something's coming up. Yeah, we can see your screen now. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, lights out. You have school tomorrow.
But I have like 2 more sentences to finish.
Fine. I'll be in to check on you in a few minutes, okay?
I bet it's that creepy delivery guy.
Get lost. Ugh, where is my charger? Where are you?
Mom? Mom, you woke me up. Mom, it's the monster again.
gotcha. I knew you were in there.
Hello? Hello? Thanks for protecting me.
So that was a nice little film from Tegan Sellers.
Yeah, wow, unbelievable. She said she's 10 years old.
She's 10 years old. And
Wow.
she dreamt that happened. And her mom said, "Oh, you should write that down." Her mom wrote the idea down, I think. And then she asked her the next day, and she couldn't remember it, but she'd written it down. So yeah, we're having, this super talented people, and like you were saying, it's nice to have a focus and create something.
Yeah, definitely.
And I thought it'd be a really nice way to kind of show people, like build a community, build a bond between people that isn't necessarily there straight away. So, and yeah, it's
especially
something.
because now everything is sort of, sort of the physical boundaries have been lifted on anything. I think, it's funny because obviously the technology of things like Zoom is not really anything new, but suddenly when people are forced to avoid that sort of like physical contact and interaction, we now know that everything we thought was impossible from afar is sort of possible. And whether it's yoga classes or collaborating with filmmakers abroad or anything. So I think it's an interesting sort of new perspective that we gained maybe from this.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely agree with that. And the collaboration process, it's always there. It just takes an extra effort, doesn't it? I think with the situation we're all in now, we're in a situation where we should do that, and it's a pleasant distraction. You're having people that are having parties and bar mitzvahs and all sorts online, so it's all very crazy at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, I just saw, I graduated from NYU Film School a few years back, and now they're doing the graduation sort of remotely, and it's all sort of pre-recorded with people from all over the place, and it's also really interesting to see. I mean, it's obviously such a different experience, but I think they made the most of it and sort of turned it into a heartwarming thing, despite the lack of the ceremonial aspect of that it usually has. So it's, yeah, people are finding creative ways to to resolve the limitations of this time.
Absolutely. Sure. I'm going to show you one more before I got a couple of more questions for you. This is, I don't like to say favorites, but this is my favorite animation that we received. Oh, let's pause that. So the ones I'm showing you, we've either spoken with them or we've actually booked time in to speak to them. Like on an early episode that's not released yet, we showed your film to a couple of filmmakers in Canada, and they absolutely loved it.
That's great. Wow.
Yeah. So we're gonna work out some sort of way to do a group chat and showcase films between the filmmakers as well. So we'll do that as well. So share screen again. Okay.
You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over announcing your place in the family of things.
So it's quite a breadth of filmmaking, isn't it?
That was amazing. I write poetry, and it was so poetic and beautiful and touching and not over pretentious, like just exact.
I loved, I think just even the choice of sort of the geese as a character now is really interesting, and to think of, that's another thing. I mean, we're obviously all very focused on our perspective as human beings right now, but we're not the only species going through these times, and I think it's interesting to think of that perspective. And I love the style, and the narration voice is beautiful too. Yeah,
I want to marry that voice. I love that voice.
So touching.
It's like when you hear like Richard Attenborough or Morgan Freeman.
Exactly.
When you have that voice, the weight to it. Like if you watch Shawshank Redemption, you can't imagine that film without the voiceover now.
No, you
and
can't.
It's like when you watch that, the animation, it looks like a painting. That's the most beautiful thing about it.
Beautiful. It's the style of it. It's beautiful, really beautiful. Very, also very. I mean, it's very high quality stuff. I'm not an animator myself, but my cousin's an animator, and I've recently learned more about the process of animation, and it's such an arduous sort of,
the amount of time. Oh my word, the time. Yeah.
I think part of it, as filmmakers, we always think like, everyone who's not a filmmaker doesn't understand how much effort goes into it. And then I feel like animators say the same thing about us as filmmakers.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
You guys got it easy, It's like, so. Yeah.
I've, like they say, I've done a couple of seconds this month. You know what I mean? That's what they say, isn't it? So, like I saw a clip of a chap that was trying to recreate. All it was a TIE fighter pass. So he used motion control rig, and he had a model, and it was all green screen. He wanted it perfect, and it took him weeks, and he produced 3 seconds. So because he wanted it absolutely perfect. And he's devastated, but also like so proud because it looked like Star Wars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you can easily make a model, you can do the motion track easy, but if you make it look right and genuine, it's something to be proud of. And that's what I like to say about your film. And I wanted to see more. And the music at the end was a great choice as well, because where's this leading to? I wanted to see more. Honestly, I really did. I think it make a really, not necessarily these characters, but if you do a web series or something like that in that tone and style, I think it'll work very, very well.
Thank you. No, we'll definitely try doing that. And the music, it's funny you mentioned that. It's also, I realized we needed something for the end title, and I wanted something that we have, the rights for. And it's just, I had at film school, I had this assignment. I took a sort of music for film class, and we had to compose this cue for just a clip from Motorcycle Diaries, I think it was, and it's something that I did on sort of, I don't remember if it was GarageBand or something else, but I had it on my computer, and I just found that it worked there. But
that's like finding a great clip in a film bin, isn't it?
Yeah,
getting the audio and
not quite Apocalypse Now, but a little bit of a.
Exactly. Well, thank you both very much, and I'm very, very humbled that you've sent us your film, and your film's so fantastic. And we're going to market this. We're gonna kind of shout it out, and we'll give a little message to Tegan after this as well, saying you love the film, her film, Dark Closet. So thank you both very much. And if you can send me an email with the Hebrew for the title of the film, that'll be really appreciated. Yeah.
Sure, we'll definitely do that.
All right, thank you very much. Have a good day. Enjoy your evening. Night. Yeah. All right, see you later. All right, bye-bye. Bye.